one of the arguments is that the realities of the midterms, the reality of market reactions, will govern how the administration moves forward implementing different tariffs or even sticking by the ones they've already announced. And yet there hasn't been a steady and clear line about where the final shoe will drop. Do you envision after the midterms a revisiting of the tariff regimes that were put in or talked about publicly earlier this year?
Not necessarily.
Or do you think the administration will stay committed towards a reset?
As I said, I think it's a permanent fixture of the approach. And I think the notion of having bilateral tariff ability to navigate those relationships is the way that they want to conduct foreign policy. I don't see that changing post the midterms. To your earlier question, you can see the uncertainty in the economy. You can see the uncertainty among companies navigating it better and worse depending on their positioning. If you look at earnings, certain companies have much more impact, other companies less so. Certain companies have an ability to pass it on, other companies less so. We believe that much of the absorption of tariffs has actually been in the value chain in the company margin and hasn't been passed on.
Right.
So we would tend to expect more inflation on the forward, because I think
first and second quarter.
I think you're going to start to see companies pass on more of the absorption that they've already dealt with in their margin structure. That's not sustainable over time. That will be somewhat balanced by the fact that I think the effective tariff rate is coming down. So if the effective tariff rate is plus minus 20% in the early part of the strategy, my guess is it's migrating down towards the mid-teens or even lower, depending on how these exclusions work and what they decide to do vis-a-vis USMCA and the like. So I expect it to start coming down while prices are rising and more pass-through is happening, and where those lines cross and where inflation comes out is going to be a very important indicator. But I think our view is inflation will remain sticky.
So you don't see inflation spiking in the first and second quarter of 26?
I don't know that it will spike. I think there's a lot of cross currents. You've got wage, you've got labor pressure. I think 26 is the year where you'll see more layoffs. And so I think you'll see corporate America start to work on their headcount, and that will bring down, I think, labor supply in many respects, which has a impact on taking wage pressure down. So that's a counterbalance to inflationary pressure. But then you do have tariffs that are more inflationary, and so where that falls out is very hard to know. Our economists have their own views. The market is obviously trying to figure that out. That's a huge volatility measure in the marketplace right now. But I'd say, generally speaking, from our vantage point, feels like we're going to have more sticky inflationary pressure, and it's going to be very hard to bring the level of inflation down materially from here. But I don't see why it would spike necessarily. I don't see the inputs being a spike. I think it's just more kind of hard to bring it down from here.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share, and subscribe.